You remember a few years ago where we had Tent City on Station Street, about literally just over 100 metres away from Nottingham Criminal Cartel's head office, and they did everything to hide the shame of what they've been doing to everyone, even to the point that they sent taxis up to try and run over those that are homeless and in tents deliberately, and it was only when the taxi drivers actually said, "That's dangerous going up there," and they refused to do it, that they actually stopped doing it. This is how criminal Nottingham City Council are. Now, what that did is it created a lot of publicity, which made them look really bad. Of course, they are really bad. So, you'd think a few years later things would be sorted, wouldn't you? Now, if things were the same, you'd go, not so great. So, are things the same? If things were better, you go, well, at least they're doing the job that we put them there for, looking after the homeless. But are things better, are things worse? Watch this.
Welcome to ITV News Central for the East Midlands. On our programme tonight, homelessness crisis. Rough sleepers in Nottingham double in 2 years. Good evening. The number of homeless people in Nottingham has reached record levels, with more than 40 rough sleepers found in the city on one day. That's nearly twice as many as 2 years ago.
The charity Framework, which works with homeless people in the city, says the problem has reached crisis point. Our correspondent Peter Bean reports.
For more and more people in Nottingham, alleyways, shop doorways, even graveyards are a place called home.
They gave us flat in Ireland and I managed to pay for everything.
Carlton has struggled to keep a roof over his head for 8 years. He's got by with the help of charities like the Salvation Army and his passion for art and poetry.
Have you had time on the streets as well?
Yeah.
Sleeping rough?
Yeah, of course.
What was that like?
You just adapt. You just get into a garage, you just slog in, you've got paper, be practical.
As you see, someone's holding it down with the stone so you don't blow away.
Kasia Shvionchat works for the charity Framework, which supports homeless people across the East Midlands. She showed me an abandoned tent in the centre of Nottingham. Apparently, a woman in her 60s has been sleeping here the last 2 nights.
It might be used again. We'll keep an eye on it, probably check every so often, make sure it's not obviously used, or if there is someone in there, then we can have a chat and see how we can help them.
2 years ago, the charity found 23 people sleeping rough in the city centre on a single morning in September. This year, the number had nearly doubled to 43, the highest since records began. And in total last year, Framework worked with more than 600 rough sleepers across the Greater Nottingham area. The figures come as no surprise to Andrew Lowe, the caretaker of St Nicholas's Church.
I get here for around about 6:15, and on the way here from where the bus drops me off to get in here, I see so many people that I see actually in doorways. It's just terrible.
So it is complex, it is challenging.
Today, St Nicholas's Church played host to a meeting about the city's growing homelessness problem.
You're calling this a crisis meeting. Are we at crisis point?
This is a national crisis, undoubtedly. Homelessness is a soluble problem. It's not as if we don't know what to do. We need to ensure that people have a roof over their head. We need to make sure that they've got the support that they need and that they're motivated to do the things they need to do to take control of their lives. This isn't rocket science. It's about having the political will to do it.
The government says it's bringing in legislation which requires councils to provide support to homeless people earlier, and says it's investing £550 million up to 2020 to tackle homelessness. Last week at the Conservative Party conference, the Prime Minister also announced an extra £2 billion for affordable housing. For now though, more people than ever before are living rough on Nottingham streets, and the dangerous winter months are ahead of them. Peter Bean, ITV News, Nottingham.
So having watched that, you can see things are twice as worse, and in fact there'll be way more than twice as worse. You've got more than twice as many on homeless now. That number they gave there was only those that they could find. A lot are just staying out of the way because of the sick and tired of being bullied, attacked and abused by the communist protection run by Nottingham Criminal Cartel. I was in court earlier this year, and watching a court case, and Tom Crawford was in there, and he was sat down waiting outside the court because he was a witness. And these two barristers came out of a courtroom and they sat down near him, and he was earwigging. And these were fully wigged up barristers. And it just shows you that even those lot are seeing what's going on, because they were sat there and they were having a conversation about a case they were on, and they were absolutely disgusted with what Nottingham criminal cartel were doing. What had happened was, a guy who suffers mental problems, when they brought in the bedroom tax, he couldn't afford to pay the tax, so the council kicked him out. Now he's on benefits. He's poor. He's a single bloke living by himself in a 2-bedroom place. They wouldn't put him in a 1-bedroom. No. They wouldn't do that. So they heaped the bedroom tax on it. Notice here how they're always going after those that can least afford it. And so they heaped the bedroom tax. He couldn't afford it. They were going to evict him. So he walked round, handed the keys back to Nottingham criminal cartel. What did the criminal cartel do? They did nothing for over a year. Then they went to the property after no one living in there for a year. This is how much they care about us, all the properties. Didn't go. Now, it had no heating on for a year, so it was pretty run down. So what they decided, the bloke who had handed the keys over to them a year ago, they decided they were going to do him for not looking after the property for the year that he wasn't in it. So they dragged him to court, even though for that previous year he'd been living in a tent in the forest, anywhere he could. They dragged him to court to try and send him to prison for not looking after the property that he didn't have the keys to. This is Nottingham criminal cartel at their best. This is what they do. Their job is to destroy the population of Nottingham City. And they're doing a good job. As you've just seen, homelessness increased twofold, and it's more than that. But this criminal bunch of scum are deliberately getting away with it again, because they don't get any consequences for their actions. Now, all of them, from the leader, the CEO, and every single one of them on the executive branch, are criminals. But who are you going to report it to? Oh, we'll report it to the police. Well, good luck with that, because there's a strategic partnership between the police and the council which says, you don't do us, we won't bother you. And that's how the strategic partnership works. They're covering each other's back to get away with this criminal activity. Something needs to be done about it. I've exposed it enough. The rest of you need to start doing things and saying things and speaking to your friends and relatives. Don't get me wrong, the council staff, the majority, are good men and women who think they're doing a good job for everyone. But those at the top are ripping us all off and are performing so many criminal, and I do mean criminal acts, you would be shocked at. Now, rather than home this amount of men and women, children, do Nottingham City Council do that? No. What they do is they spend 93 million or 83 million on new lights that don't need replacing. Now, do they just replace the bulbs? No. What they do, they source out what company they've got a backhand deal with, and they'll get them to do the replacing of this 83 million. Now, something else happens here. Those in the executive branch, leader, CEO and all that, what they do is they get a member of their family or a friend, because they know they're going to give this 83 million to a certain corporation. So they get their friend to buy them shares in this corporation. So when they get this deal, the share prices shoot up and they make a fortune. It's called illegal trading. Trading for something when you already know the pre-knowledge of what's going to happen, which is totally unlawful. And their friend or relative knows that this is going to happen as well, so they buy a load of shares, so that's their little backhander. This is what the council do. Criminal activity. Now, they'll say, come back and say, oh no, we need to replace the lights because we need to put new wiring in. Oh, right, okay. Wait a minute, them lights have wiring in them, so you could run the wiring up the old lights, but wait, no, we couldn't justify 83 million wasted on replacing lights if we just did that, and we wouldn't get as much of a backhander with the shares and the backhanded deals that goes through with us all, would we? So no, we're doing it this way because we make more money. Oh, but wait, what about the homeless? Screw them, we're making money off this.